let's talk about the riots, because there's race riots happening in the UK. Incredible stuff happening in the United Kingdom. Not so united. I told you guys that like the reform gains were nothing to just like cast aside. I told you that the growing momentum of like far right nationalism in the UK would be a genuine problem. And now they're doing pogroms. England and Northern Ireland, not the whole UK. Sure. Not Scotland, though. Mention that. Okay. England and Northern Ireland. So for the record, it's really okay. I'm just gonna tell you exactly what's going on. Number one, I think a dude of Rwandan Christian that is like nationalized, like born in the UK. Yeah, Rwandan background, but a British citizen that was born here, who comes from a Christian family. Yeah, he's also young. Stabbed someone, or stabbed multiple kids, 3 kids. And every psychopath automatically goes, oh, this is Muslims doing crimes. And that's a horrific, gruesome crime, by the way. Obviously, make no mistake. He stabbed 3 little girls at the Taylor Swift dance class. He stabbed 13 children and adults, and 3 of the kids died. Basically, what ends up happening after this is the right turn around and go, oh, it's Muslims doing this. It's all immigrants doing this. It's all Muslim immigrants doing this. And they just have instituted a mass pogrom over the course of the past week. And the media coverage on this has either been not at all, or specifically on the boundaries of like pro-British people protesting, like right-wing people protesting. I don't know. It's really fucked up. Dude, stop defending what is not defendable. What? Did you get stabbed in the brain in the process? What's happening? What is going on, bro? I just like, I could literally be like, man, I really hate chocolate. It's not my favorite. I'm a fan of strawberry. And motherfuckers would be like, dude, I cannot believe that you love chocolate and you hate strawberry. Like, you're just, finish your narrative. There is no narrative. Like, you're directly contradicting what I just said. You're saying that I'm advocating for the opposite of the things I'm saying. Like, what do you think? You think I'm defending killing children? What are you, stupid? I mean, yeah, you are stupid. By the way, this shit was posted all over Facebook, by the way. English chuds thought it was a real image. In Birmingham, migrant crowds are waving swords live on TV. Where are the British police at the moment? They threatened to riot in Birmingham. A lot of South Asians and Muslims in front of like a hospital and shit. I don't even know how to describe it. It is just so insane. Not far right, it's what's right.
The term hard right. They just feel immigration's out of control. Opinions forceful and to many fanciful.
He's wearing a Trump 2024 hat in London, bro. What the f? The universality of hogs, once again, by the way. Everybody looks like a thumb. Oh.
It's our country and we're getting pushed out. I understand how the native Indians felt in America now, because that's what the white man did, went and pushed them out. Only it's the white man getting pushed out of this country.
I don't know what to say. I just like, I am at a loss for words at how unimaginably stupid that is.
So first, this man let his flag do the talking.
There's been a lot of aggro, there's been a lot of trouble. That can't be right.
No, it isn't right. It's we're not condoning it, but people...
Do you condemn it?
I condemn it, but what I'm saying is people now are at boiling point.
Bro, you're the people at the boiling point. Like, what are you saying? People, not me. I'm out here with a flag that says get them all out by force. What is people?
City centre mosques asked worshippers to stay away this weekend because of safety fears.
They burned down restaurants that they suspected of being owned by like Muslims or Arabs. They've been like setting up security cordons in neighborhoods and shit to be like, to not let certain people in. Yeah, BBC described the marauding mobs of Nazis stabbing brown and black people and burning hotels with migrant families in them as pro-British march, by the way. It's just, it is so unhinged. Yeah, this is Middlesbrough asking if the drivers are white to let them through. If they're not, they're going nowhere. Like, the amount of confidence these motherfuckers have to be able to do whatever they want in this regard is so crazy. Just like with January 6th, like, they don't think that, well, they don't think at all, just like with January 6th, but they don't think that there's any repercussions for this kind of behavior. They just do not understand that like what they're doing is just completely unconscionable. And to a certain degree, they're getting away with it. Will had a really good take on this. He said, it's probably worth remembering that but a few months ago, the British and American press libeled the massive, totally peaceful anti-war pro-Palestine protests in terms that made them sound exactly what we're seeing now from right-wing lynch mobs. The effects of mass migration and open borders is what's going on. Civil war is inevitable, he says. And it's like, dude, you're a migrant. Like, what are you talking about? You literally are an immigrant in the United States of America. He is such a Nazi, dude. It is unbearable. Oh my God. I don't know how to deal with these motherfuckers, man. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do in this situation. Like, they are just so stupid. This is why I always also make the distinction, like, what people are protesting is way more important than how people are protesting. How people are protesting can be important as well. But what people are protesting is very important. Make no mistake. These people claim that the BLM protests, okay, were riots of like black supremacy or whatever the fuck. That was not the case. Those were people, white people, black people, brown people, protesting against police brutality. Police disproportionately targeting and killing black people in this country. Some of the most violent aspects of our genuinely white supremacist criminal justice system. They were protesting against power. These people are protesting against the existence of black and brown people around them. It is an inherently white supremacist protest. It has happened throughout history, and it's happening again.
A bonfire of violence and chaos in Liverpool last night. Hundreds of troublemakers gathered in the Walton area of the city. Pushed back by police from the mosque they were targeting, they turned their fury.
Like, what are we talking about? They just like are actively trying to burn a mosque down. They're not troublemakers, bro. They're fucking Nazis. They are Nazis in the process of doing a hate crime. People go to synagogues where they are actively selling Palestinian stolen land, which is illegal, to protest outside of the sale, right? To protest the sale itself. And there's like a complete alarm about how unimaginably anti-Semitic of a hate crime it is. These motherfuckers in the middle of the night are going to try to light a mosque on fire. That is not rabble rousing. That's not troublemaking. That's called domestic terrorism. It's called white supremacist, anti-Islam, domestic terror. It is a hate crime that they are engaging in.
Inside today, hard to imagine this place was called a library of the future when it reopened last year to help one of the country's most deprived communities. Now it's the community deprived of its services.
I get people are angry about things, but they've got it the wrong way of saying it. Causing carnage to a library that all the local kids use. They can't use that now. We don't want people to think we're horrible people, but it's a horrible area because we're not. We're all about community. They just showed last night that they're nothing like what we actually are. They're a disgrace.
Locals were out in force this morning, determined to clean up their streets from the stain of last night's havoc.
It's crazy to me that the leader of this faction is not even allowed in the UK right now. Tommy Robinson, or what is his name? Yaxley Lennon or whatever, is not even allowed in England currently. The leader of the EDL. I thought this shit was like dealt with. Okay. I thought this shit was like also a massive Israel dick rider, but that's, you know, it's neither here nor there. Stephen Yaxley Lennon is his name, also known as Tommy Robinson. And the thing is, these guys are like his followers, his fan base, and many more people, as a matter of fact, have gone completely insane, and they're just doing pogroms around the country. Meanwhile, when the pro-Palestinian demonstrators were peacefully protesting against genocide, okay, something that the international community recognizes, and England's lack of interest in doing anything about Israel's genocidal acts and still sending weapons to Israel, which is something that they're now reconsidering, a stance that they're now reconsidering. So the protests were not only peaceful, they were morally just, but also beyond that, they might have even been successful. All of that was covered as like the worst kind of anti-Semitism you've ever seen. These guys are running around trying to actively kill as many Muslims or as many Arabs as possible. Bro, there's no way you're talking about Israel again. If you think this is not a direct one-to-one situation here because of how white supremacy operates in the West, I don't know what to tell you. just they're trying to go after any and every brown person that they've seen, trying to murk any and every fucking brown person that they see. And you're out here, and the way that the media is covering it is like, oh, they're just like anti-immigrant protesters. Oh, they're activists. It's crazy. Yeah. The guy who's like leading the charge, the EDL, England Defense League, he is also backed by literal pro-Israel groups. So no, this isn't just like, this is the idea that this has nothing to do with Israel is also stupid. Here he is in a IDF shirt. Here's Tommy Robinson and co. posing with the Israeli army wearing IDF t-shirts. The far right in Israel and Britain don't look or behave that differently, do they? Yeah, they don't. Or not only do they not behave differently, they're often directly funded by it. And also, there are literally Israeli officials who are posting shit like this. Here's the Israeli occupation's deputy mayor of Jerusalem. Goodbye, England. Together we'll make this country yours. Thank you for being so weak. Maybe I should say he's like backed by the Russian government or something for a lot of you liberals to like actually calculate it in a way that matters. Because I know many people's brains short circuit when I say Israel. Many people who literally are constantly talking about like Russian involvement, Russian interference, Russian interference, Russian interference. Ooh, it seems like Russia is stoking the fires, which by the way, Russia might be. Why the fuck wouldn't you take advantage of a country at the midst of a collapse like this by pushing and pulling in ways that matter? To genuinely push for some kind of to push for some kind of like race riot. But Israel's doing that shit too. Look at this. Like no shame, no fear. No, I don't think he's doing a monkey gesture, but he definitely did do the knife thing. Like anyway, that's like the least of the obvious fucking horrifically racist shit that they're doing. Do you think this is normal? Like, what do you think these guys are doing? Honestly, what do you think their interest is? Protecting? Defending? What do you think is happening here?
A city that prides itself on tolerance and understanding is reeling from a day and night so at odds with its values.
That's that's how you know, bro. They're not even hiding their faces when they do this shit. That is one of the telltale signs that it's getting to a point where like they're comfortable. They know that the government has their back consistently, at least in terms of their policy. This is one of the greatest examples of how government policy, specifically in terms of like anti-immigration policy, galvanizes the base of fascist support, because they're like, why would I hide my face? Like, I want to go and kill migrants, and the government is basically giving me carte blanche to do so. And that's why I think prosecuting these instances is really important. It's really important because then at least like it has a massive chilling effect on future pogroms such as this one. That's why there is no January 6th post January 6th, because that was the first time that these motherfuckers got together in America and literally did some shit, right? And they didn't cover their faces. They didn't do any of that. They filmed themselves doing it. Because in their minds, they were like, yeah, obviously nothing is going to happen to me because I'm doing the righteous thing. This government has always protected me. It's always had my back. Why the wouldn't they be on board with this? Until they saw genuine criminal repercussions for their criminal actions, which was shocking to them for the first time ever, where they were like, what the you're putting me in jail for what? Like, I'm a patriot. That was a first for many people that basically destroyed their sense of entitlement and arrogance in terms of like participating in these kinds of like right-wing fascist attacks on people, on property, on property owned by a certain sect of people. And I think that like some kind of criminal punishment in this situation absolutely changes course pretty quickly, because these guys are not used to it at all. Anyway, here, look at how the BBC is covering it, by the way, which is insane. Yesterday.
Back to our top story. And the government will hold an emergency Cobra meeting later after more than 150 people were arrested. This following the violent disorder in the UK towns and cities over the weekend.
In Bolton, anti-immigration protesters were confronted by a group of up to 300 masked people shouting "Allahu Akbar," or "God is greatest."
In Bolton, anti-immigration protests were confronted by 300 mass people shouting Allahu Akbar. Bro, just say you love the protesters, or just say that you are a fan of what they're protesting. That's your framing on the situation. Here's a few examples of the Daily Mail headlines that have fanned the flames of hate and normalized Islamophobic and anti-migrant rhetoric. Fury over plot to let 1.5 million Turks into Britain. 4,000 foreign murderers and rapists we can't throw out. Prime Minister, UK Muslims helping jihadis. Migrant numbers hit new records. Migrants, how many more can we take? Calais, send in the army. True toll of the mass migration on UK life. 4 out of 5 migrants aren't Syrians. We're from Europe. Let us in. 100,000 illegals stopped at the UK border. 1 million more migrants are on their way. The swarm on our street. Prime Minister, why we must not take 3,000 migrant children. Britain's broken borders. Migrants spark housing crisis. Foreign workers get 3 in 4 new jobs. Talking about the Daily Mail fanning the flames of racist, vitriolic rhetoric. Here is Zara talking as a Muslim MP.
Why is it important to you to use that specific word, Islamophobic? It's been called racist, it's been called thuggery. I think that's important because we are speaking to the Home Secretary and other politicians this morning. Why does that matter to you to use the word Islamophobic?
In Stockport, a mosque was targeted, bricks were thrown out. The people who were in the mosque at that time, who were basically locked down in that mosque, said that they feared for their life.
But
they weren't able to get out. I'm just finishing the question.
I
did ask specifically about the word.
If that's okay. I would also say that the role of the Labour Party, historically through New Labour, the controls on immigration, mugs, and also your article in The Guardian where you said the problem with Labour is that they have accepted too many Eastern European migrants. We have to look at all of this historically over at least 2-3 decades when we look at the role.
I was totally right in that article.
So the discussion around immigration, you don't see that playing a role in what we're seeing descend across the country. You don't think there's any complicity in that at all?
I think if you fail to control and manage immigration properly, then things go wrong.
So the language that...
He literally is like, I agree with the protesters. What more can he say? Like, he doesn't understand it because in his mind, he agrees with the protesters, but he just can't admit it and also be a part of polite society. Because after all, he's of a higher class, whereas the protesters in Northern England and whatnot are like in former labor strongholds. They're radicalized people who no longer have jobs. They're fucking shitty. Okay, they're like lowborn. Whereas this man has been able to make it to Good Morning Britain. So obviously he's now highborn. He is of a different class. So he doesn't want to fucking associate himself with trash like that. He was a Labor MP and his wife is the Home Secretary. Yeah, also, there's that. The thing is, this is across the board. This is across the political spectrum. This is why Keir Starmer capitulating the right-wing framing on immigration, just like the Democrats capitulating the right-wing framing on immigration here in the United States of America, is genuinely frustrating because they agree with those Nazis. They just don't want to be associated with the Nazis. Here's a Labor MP saying, we want our hotel back because it housed refugees, and a few days later, it was the target of a pogrom and it was set on fire.
For years, and the simple reality is that residents want their hotel back.
5 days ago, this Labor MP talked about Tamworth wanting their hotel back. Today, is surrounded by white supremacist rioters terrorizing people seeking asylum who have been forced to stay there. You incited this and you should resign, Sarah. It was a Holiday Inn in the ass end of nowhere. They weren't hurting. Yeah, no, it's just, wait, if they wanted it back, they're burning it down. No, they're just trying to fucking, yeah, there are people in the hotel. They want to, the real reason why they're doing it is because they want to kill people in the hotel. I don't know how else to describe it. Don't worry, Hassan. The media said it's not racism. It is appalling. Another new low. Muslim gravestones. The cemetery in Burnley has been vandalized with white paint and desecrated. I don't know if this is verified or not. I'm not saying it's fake, but I don't know if it's verified. Oh, it is confirmed. The Burnley Muslim graves. Lancashire police said they are treating the incident as a hate crime. Wait, hold on. I thought these guys were simply anti-immigrant. Like, what's that about?
Hold on.
By the way, obviously saying that in this community, like everybody knows when someone says they're anti-immigrant that they're a white supremacist Nazi. Most people in this community understand that. But that distinction is not so clear in places like the UK, apparently, where people think like, no, you don't understand it. You don't understand. I'm anti-immigrant for economic reasons. There's a good reason to send the boats back. Yeah. There's a good reason. I'm not racist. After all, I was a Labour MP.
So the Prime Minister tonight reacting to what has happened over the course of the last 48 hours. His conclusion, very simple, it's all the far right.
But what it is. Like, what do you... These guys are saying the same things that you're saying.
As if they're causing all of the problems. No, the far right are a reaction to fear.
Bro, you are directly responsible for this. Put this man in jail right now. I thought it was going to be Keir Stalin. What is happening? Put this man directly under the jail. Exile him. Banish him to that little island that Napoleon was in, okay? Put his ass on that island. Actually, not that. I'm sure there's plenty of wonderful people on the island. They shouldn't have to live around this demon. I don't know. Put him somewhere. Put him on an island where there's nobody, okay?
Law and order, folks, on our streets is breaking down. This Prime Minister hasn't got an earthly clue how to deal with it. We need to start getting tough.
Yeah, he's right. Keir Starmer doesn't have a clue on how to deal with it. He should be putting your bitch ass, your ugly inbred ass in jail. He should be putting all of those ugly inbred ass white supremacist motherfuckers in jail. He does not know how to deal with it at all. He should be putting down the iron fist. Things that former British administrations have only done to, like, I don't know, striking coal miners or some shit. He should be doing that to the white supremacists. You fucking Pixar character looking ass bitch, dude. Look at his bulbous ass eyes, like just basically popping out of his goddamn head. You look like a cartoon character, dude.
Let's have proper law and order. But Mr. Starmer, just to blame a few far-right thugs to say that's the root of our problems.
It's not a few far-right thugs. It's the entirety of the right. You included. Jail, 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 jail. Throw him in jail. Throw him in jail yesterday.
It's really bad at the minute, right? And this is rinse and repeat, just like the Nazis tried to do with the Jews, just like everybody does. Every time the economy goes poor, we all blame the immigrants. We all blame that. Well, you know what? Give me thousands of immigrants, and I want to ship these lot out. I don't want these lot.
Nah, that's, dude, amazing. I love that. I'd say send them to Rwanda, but honestly, I don't want to do that to Rwanda. You know what I mean? Rwanda doesn't deserve that kind of fucking, ire from the thumbs. Here's another wonderful BBC moment.
For around half an hour, it was quite peaceful. There was a small counter-protest, the pro-British march on one side of the town hall here, and the counter-protest on the other side of the town hall.
Yeah, just a pro-Britain protest, you know? But yeah, the UK are currently facing our worst rioting since 2011 after misinformation that spread like wildfire after the events on Monday, 29 July. 3 young girls were brutally murdered and several others were critically injured by a 17-year-old in Southport. The name and ethnicity of the individual responsible was withheld by the police. As a result, false information that the suspect was a radical Muslim migrant spread like wildfire. After the outcry, the police stressed that the suspect had no ties to Islam. He was in fact born in Wales. His parents originated from Rwanda, a country in which 92% of the population is Christian. Despite all this, the far-right outcriers decided to crash a vigil on Tuesday that was being held in honor of the victims. These racist rioters gathered near a mosque in Southport and began their reign of violence. The mosque was vandalized. A police van was set alight and bricks were thrown. Several people were injured, including 53 police officers because of all this. A further Section 60 order, which gives police enhanced powers to stop and search, is designed to minimize violence, was put in effect on Thursday evening. This followed the original S60 order that was brought in for 24 hours on Wednesdays. Anyways, after the riot in Southport, the far-right movement actions were spurred on by the likes of Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, and Nigel Farage, all far-right assholes with no brain, which then led to mass riots taking place all over the country and more being scheduled for the rest of the month. In Hartlepool, a person of color was punched in the face as onlookers laughed and cheered. In Manchester, a black man was surrounded by a lynch mob. We saw the video. In which they began to attack the man. In Middlesbrough, a Muslim woman was attacked with acid. In Sunderland, an Asian Uber driver was attacked by a mob. Black passengers on a bus also hid in fear as the mob started targeting them. Police stations and cars have been set on fire. Shops have been looted. People forced out of their homes and businesses destroyed. They literally destroyed like a Arab. I think it was like a halal food place as well. On top of the hotels where the migrants are staying. Earlier today in Rotherham, a far-right fascist rioted and smashed several windows at a hotel and later set fire to said hotel and was currently housing asylum seekers. Today, after several days of riots and people of color living in fear, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer finally made a statement where he condemned the far-right thuggery. However, it must be noted that neither him, the Home Secretary, or any cabinet member, with the exception of one or two, have labeled this as what it is: rampant racist Islamophobia. And I also want to point out that this is the same government who labeled pro-Palestine protesters as anything but peaceful and were harmful towards Jews. It was the conservative government who called pro-Palestine protests hate marches, not the current Labor government. The comments were made by Suella Braverman. Palestine protests, anything were peaceful, were harmful towards Jews, and yet they called these riots rival protests. And Islamic Dawah stall offering free Qurans was violently attacked in Liverpool yesterday. Barely anything was said. What would you say to the Muslim community in this situation? How should they act? I don't know. I mean, they should just, again, try to stay as safe as possible. And you know, that's it. You just survive. It's like a Halo mission. Be vigilant, shelter, survive.